Welcome to WCNC Charlotte's live weather impact right here on WCNC Plus. I hope if you were out and about late last night, you were able to get another view of the aurora of the northern lights. We did see some color. It was faint, but some color nonetheless on our Dallas Tower cam, and did get really gorgeous photos from a lot of our viewers. So thanks again for sending those in. A different kind of beautiful light show, I think, in the night sky tonight. Our sunset happened just about an hour or so ago, and because of a lot of high clouds out there, we had a really vibrant sunrise and sunset. But that is not how we're going to start today's show. We're actually going to start it with the one and only U.S. Drought Monitor. I know we show this all the time. And actually, I said during our regular newscast, I feel a little bit sick of talking about it, but we have to talk about it, right? We are still under drought conditions here in the Carolinas. But what's interesting about this update is even though we haven't seen a lot of rain, notice where the change has happened. Was it really hard to see? Well, that's because it was intentionally hard to see. It's a tiny, tiny little sliver there on the southern tip of South Carolina. Otherwise, we really didn't see a lot of substantial changes. Now, you can look at this in a good way or a bad way. The good news is that we didn't see the drought expand. The bad news is we're still under drought conditions, and we do still need more rain to help with this current situation. Our average for the month of November up to November 13th is about 1.5 inches, just under 1.5 inches. And so far, we've only had 1/4 inch. Well, on average this time of year in Charlotte, we see about 3 inches or so. So not only are we below where we should be, but we already know we're not going to see a lot of rain in general on average. So this is the time of year where we need some of those days. Remember that trend back in late October where it was Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, and I know it was cloudy and cool, but we saw some areas of drizzle, some light rain off and on. We need more stretches like that, truthfully, if we're ever going to get out of this drought situation. Across the Carolinas, it's not just here locally in the Piedmont, but it's most of the southeast. Notice the rainfall forecast the next 7 days. Georgia looks dry, the Carolinas looks dry all the way down to Florida, and even those areas in Alabama, Mississippi, up toward Virginia. That sea rain, it's not going to be much. We see a big swath there on the western side of the country, a little bit of rainfall action there in Arizona, but really the worst is there you can see from Dallas stretching all the way into St. Louis and southern parts of Illinois. Now, in the Charlotte area right now, I looked at the numbers right before our newscast started, we would need about 4 to 5 inches of rain in a month to get back to normal or out of drought conditions, but within 3 months we would need about 10 to 12. So it's possible, it's just that going into the winter months we're in a La Nina, and normally with those patterns we're drier than normal and we're warmer than normal. So at least the overall winter pattern does not set us up for success when it comes to seeing more rain. But again, you never know. Just because the winter itself is warmer and drier doesn't mean you don't get a little bit of rain or 1 or 2 cold snaps. Here's current satellite and radar. Things are looking fantastic. We have some high clouds mixing in. Those high clouds are going to clear out just in time to see cooler temps tonight. Remember, clouds act like a blanket, keeping us a little bit warmer at night, but when they clear out, we get cold air that can settle closer to the ground because the wind's not mixing as much. And with that being said, temperatures tonight, upper 30s. Won't be nearly as cold as Tuesday morning, but won't be nearly as nice as this morning. So few areas of patchy frost, likely outside of the Charlotte metro. But again, it's not going to be a big issue for you tomorrow morning. I don't think we're going to need to warm up the car for multiple minutes, 30 minutes, but maybe 1 or 2. Tomorrow afternoon, pretty much a rinse repeat forecast of today, mostly clear. Mostly sunny, temperatures near 70. I think the biggest change will be up in our mountain communities due to that southwesterly wind. We'll actually be in the lower 60s versus where we were today, which was the lower 50s. Now, meteorologist Chris Mulcahy made this graphic, and I know it's a little bit complicated, and I used it on air. It's probably a little bit too much for TV, but I think it is great for digital and for WCNC Plus because you can kind of see the layout a little bit better. So this is what it felt like the last 10 days compared to normal. You oftentimes hear us talk about, today felt more like late June or, whatever the date is. Where are we with what it felt like? Well, this time last week, we were pretty much around the same numbers, upper 60s, low 70s. So right at the end of October, we kind of ebbed and flowed there until Sunday, where we got into the upper 70s, which is more like late September. And then we saw that big crash, right? Monday and Tuesday, both afternoons, we were January, if not even colder, because our average high actually never drops below 50 degrees here in Charlotte. And then today we were pretty mild. Yesterday pretty mild as well, so pretty much where we should be. Well, does that bode differently for the rest of the week? Well, not necessarily. Just because we've been colder or been warmer doesn't mean that's going to stay the same. But in this case, we're going to be a little bit warmer. Today, the official high was 70. Tomorrow, right around the same. And then we're in the mid 70s Saturday and the upper 70s by Sunday. In fact, it's probably going to be pretty similar to last weekend where we had sunshine mid to upper 70s, because if you look there, it's pretty much exactly what we had last weekend, 74, 77 respectively. So will we see rain? Not really anticipating a big chance of rain on Sunday, but there will be a weak cold front passing by, which could allow for a few showers in the mountains. Not expecting that across the Piedmont. Now, I know it is going to be warmer this weekend. Again, some spots near 80, but if you have not been able to get out and about and just kind of enjoy the fact that it's fall, could be a good weekend to do so. We are at our peak levels, if not past peak, across portions of the Piedmont and down toward the Sandhills, which means everywhere else is past peak as well. And with some of those windy days we've had recently, there are a lot of leaves on the ground, but that does not mean that we can't still see some nice days to enjoy some of that fall color. So again, it's not going to be a lot of mess outside, so definitely get out and enjoy if you can. In the long range, it does look like we could see some areas of rain here and there, but again, you'll see in that 7 to 10 day forecast, it certainly does not look like a lot of rain by any stretch of the imagination. So tomorrow morning, probably going to be our chilliest over the next week, upper 30s, lots of sunshine in the afternoon, a gorgeous weekend. The 49ers play on Saturday. With that cold front coming in Sunday, again, we get a little weak area of cooler and drier air coming in Monday, Tuesday, but notice these numbers compared to those averages at the bottom of your screen. Even when we get cooler, quote unquote cooler early next week, it is still going to be at or above average for this time of year. And I'll give you a little tease of the extended forecast in case you're not going to be up at 11 o'clock, which we do normally show this at 11 p.m. We're looking at more at or above average temperatures over the next 10 days. So no more snow, no more little surprise bursts of snow, no more substantial cold here in the Charlotte area, at least through the weekend before Thanksgiving. But again, that does not mean that in the long range that cannot change. So of course, we'll continue to keep you updated locally, especially as we get closer to those Thanksgiving trends. It's hard to believe, it's just about 2 weeks or so away. For now, we're going to go to a 2-minute break, and then we'll bring in Chief Meteorologist Tim Buckley from WFMY, and we'll chat more about how this week has shaped up and what's to come.